Oke, sudah bisa Mas? Siap.
Greetings from Geneva in Switzerland. I hope you have a very successful meeting. And I think it's an important point in the development of basic income as an anchor of any good society, be it Indonesia or any European country. It's a juncture in the world's history when we're faced with unique combination of crises. It's a polycrisis. And I think that this is giving a new urgency to basic income. And in my few remarks in opening this meeting, I'd like to emphasize that first and foremost and fundamentally, a basic income is justifiable on ethical grounds, on moral grounds, on philosophical grounds. It is not just an instrument among other instruments for tackling poverty, although it is important for tackling poverty. It's fundamentally about justice, freedom, and security. Before coming to that, let me remind us all that a basic income is not a panacea. And the most important point is to be on the road to having a proper basic income. I never use the term universal basic income simply because I've come to realize that the term universal conjures up possibilities for critics to accuse us of being utopian in imagining that the whole world could suddenly have a basic income and that one country, be it Indonesia or anywhere else, could introduce it and everybody could come to Indonesia and receive the basic income paid by the government. That's not feasible, it's not sensible, and we do not mean that. What we mean is that every usual resident of a country, every legal citizen who is residing in the country should be receiving something like a basic income. You wouldn't dismiss the needs of migrants, people coming to the country. They should be accommodated, they should be helped, but that should be outside the basic income as a concept. It's important. The second point I want to make is to remind us that a basic income is an individual right. It's unconditional in behavioral terms. It's unconditional in somehow saying that people could only get it if they've made a contribution to society. We don't know what that might be or might not be, and it gets into all sorts of unedifying issues. It is to be paid equally to every man and woman, with a smaller amount to a child, probably paid to the mother or the surrogate mother. And I think it's important that we should emphasize that the intention of having a basic income is that every individual has equal material security. That means that those who have extra costs of living should receive a supplement. If you have a disability, your needs to meet any particular level of subsistence are greater than if you don't have a disability, so that we should accept that a supplement should be paid to people who have disabilities that entail higher costs of living. That's a fairness. And I think that's not emphasized enough by many of us in the basic income movement globally. So I want to emphasize it today. Now I come to the rationale for basic income. It's first and foremost a matter of justice, common justice. The wealth and income of all of us is far more to do with the efforts and achievements of the many, many generations before us than anything we do ourselves. And in that respect, the accumulated wealth of our country, our communities, is the result of our ancestors. But none of us know whose ancestors contributed more or less. And therefore we should say that a basic income is a matter of common inheritance. Just as we allow private inheritance and private wealth, we should have shared common inheritance. And that sense of common justice is something that is shared by all religions and by those who believe in the commons, as I do. I think this is important because it also points the way to a way of funding a basic income. Indonesia is setting up a huge sovereign wealth fund. That sovereign wealth fund could be used to pay out what I call common dividends. Dividends that as the fund rises, a small amount should be paid out to all the citizens, the legal residents of the country. If that is not done, then you can guarantee that the fund will be a source of inequality and potential, if not actual, corruption. I hope that those who are advocating capital funds, as I advocate them, will realize that it must be a means of shared public wealth. Put that aside. It is also a matter of ecological justice. Ecological in the sense that we're seeing pollution, we're seeing global warming, we're seeing an existential crisis. And it's the wealthy who are creating most of the pollution. So putting a form of tax on those who are contributing to the pollution, depleting the commons, and using the resources gained from those levies or taxes to pay out a basic income for everybody, an equal basic income, is a matter of ecological justice. I think this is important because we are facing one of the biggest crises in the history of humanity today. And so far, our governments everywhere are failing. So for me, this is an important aspect of our whole debate. It is also a matter of work justice. Work is badly measured in our statistics. All the work that women do caring for their children and for the elderly, some men do it too, I hope so. It doesn't get remunerated. Why should somebody in a job, in a supermarket or in a factory be given income security, whereas people who are doing dirty, difficult, challenging, emotionally difficult care are treated as not doing any work? This is stupid. It's sexist. And we should be championing a remeasuring of work, a re-evaluation of work, and so on. The second thing I want to mention is that a basic income is a matter of freedom. It enhances the freedom to say no to people who are oppressing the others. It is a freedom to be moral. You can't be moral, you can't make moral decisions unless you have some basic security with which to make decisions. And it is a matter of Republican freedom, as I've mentioned in my books, and I think is very important. The ability to look the other in the face and not give in to their will. That's good. Then finally, it's a matter of basic security. Not total security, basic security. Basic security is a human need. We all need it. And in this world of chronic uncertainty, none of our welfare schemes give that basic security. Ask those in the precariat, the group I write about. They don't have basic security. Ask those who are affected by the threat of pandemics or chronic crises or natural disasters. They don't have basic security. A basic income is an instrument for giving basic security, and when without basic security, mental stress, suicides, deaths of despair proliferate. Basic security is a human right, and so is basic income. Let us go forward and fight for it. Thank you very much.
Tapi ya kita bisa mendengar. Mungkin sebelum kita punya Alice dari Australian Basic Income Lab yang dia akan join jam 11 kurang dikit. Masih ada waktu. Barangkali ada dari teman-teman mau share opinion, share komen, feedback dari acara pagi ini sudah kebayang seperti apa. Mungkin waktu kemarin dapat undangan atau kemarin daftar atau kemarin lihat banner ini tuh sebenarnya acara apa sih? Mungkin ada kepikiran kayak gitu. Feel free sambil kita nunggu Alice join. Is Alice there? Mas Alice sudah di situ? Belum ya? Nanti kabarin ya kalau Alice sudah masuk. Tadi sudah aku email. Silakan barangkali anyone want to share their opinion, feedback, comment about this event, about the previous presentation, previous speech. Any new ideas coming? Or it's already old idea or something like that. Anyone want to share in English, in Bahasa? We have Sarat and John and Aparna that from India, so they only can speak English. Okay, thank you. Introduce your name and then.
Okay, thank you for the occasion. Hello everyone, my name is Venu Sabari. I'm from Indonesian Economic Association. Actually, I still internship, so I joined this for learning some. I think it's a new thing for me because I still final year graduate of economics in IPB University. I really interested with this UBI, especially when Dr. Sarat said that we can say UBI as a dignity income, like that. He also tried to, how to say, analogy it with family's love or something like that, that everything in UBI will happen unconditionally without any minimum requirement or something like that. But I think it's also a good thing, but it makes me thinking about the other hand, that in our family can love us unconditionally. But now I ask about this country or the government, will the government love us unconditionally too, right? Because you have to know, there are so many things that government provide for government to secure or something like that. Not even only about our income, not only about our budget constraint or something like that. And especially it's about life and it's complicated. So how we can think that this basic income is really important to make our life, especially in government or our daily life. So everything still, how to say, stable. Yeah, stable. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Mas Bahri ya, thank you. Tepuk tangan untuk Mas Bahri.
Faiz.
Oh sorry, tadi saya ambil nama belakangnya. Bener ya? Oke. Mas Faiz Bahri. Jadi thank you for your feedback, comments. Maybe Sarat will have also feedback from your comment, but before I go to Sarat or John or anyone else, maybe someone else want to put any thought in this discussion? Just free. I mean, this is informal, intimate meeting. It's not like the previous opening ceremony, so don't be shy. And just if you disagree, I'll really love it. I mean, I'm waiting for, okay, Sarat will answer your wild question. I mean, if you can ask anything today, tomorrow, if you still have time to join, or in the Sunday, because we really want to, see the big picture and the small picture. If we doing these ideas in reality, what's gonna happen and how we can make it happen in real world? Is it possible? Is it impossible? If possible, how so, etc. Come on, anyone else or in online as well? If you want to say, just raise your hand and in electronically. Ada yang mau share lagi? Feel free in bahasa or in English is fine. I'm still trying to digest why I'm here, why am I here? Oke, ya Mbak Grace.
Ya, selamat pagi Mas Yanu dan semua kawan-kawan. Perkenalkan nama saya Grace. Sebenarnya ini saya dalam bahasa Indonesia aja ya Mas.
Dari mana Grace?
Saya dari Invit Mas. Sebetulnya saya juga baru ya dengan konsep basic income training ini gitu, dan sebelum kemarin mengonfirmasi untuk menjadi peserta di sini sebenarnya sempat mencari-cari juga sebenarnya basic income universal basic income ini apa gitu kan. Dan ternyata kemarin semalam juga kebetulan dapat poster ada semacam webinar dari PKB ya, dan sempat mengikuti juga webinar semalam dan menarik konsepnya gitu kan, bahwa akan ada semacam cash transfer gitu untuk semua orang, dan ada beberapa prinsip yang tadi juga sudah disampaikan sama Mr. Sarat ya, bahwa ini sifatnya individual, unconditional, dan tidak mengenal usia juga gitu. Jadi sebenarnya saya juga penasaran nih, ini sebenarnya applicable nggak untuk diterapkan di Indonesia gitu kan. Sementara kalau kita lihat sepertinya kondisi perekonomian kita juga sedang tidak stabil gitu. Apakah konsep ini applicable, dan penasaran juga sih untuk case study di tempat lain seperti apa, dan itu yang sebenarnya ingin saya dan saya yakin teman-teman di sini juga ingin menggali gitu, konsep ini penerapannya sejauh ini sudah seperti apa gitu sih Mas.
Terima kasih Grace, thank you Grace. Ya betul, semalam itu blessing in disguise, mungkin sesuatu yang sangat serius ternyata. PKB party is really interested with the of basic income, and then they invited us to give a lecture in Arab. I just helped to translate it to Bahasa because the constituent of PKB is very diverse. Not all of them is like in university, and the discussion is really, really good. I don't know. With the lunch program. Jadi MBG versus cash transfer, it's quite interesting. And that's what I really want to hear as well here, whether makan bergizi gratis better than cash transfer, or it's about the amount of the cash, or it's about the periodic of the cash, or it's about the behavior of our people. Do we trust that Indonesian people will be wise, will be using the money like Timmy said? Maybe we judge them, like if you have money, you buy a motorcycle. It's exactly just for their another income generation activities. But some people judge like, oh, you buy a motorcycle just for fun. The things like that always happen. If someone give us money yourself, you believe that you can manage, right? But why if we give to your friends, your neighbor, and then we say, my neighbor will not responsible with that money, or he or she will not responsible. But when you yourself, you must be mad, right? I mean, why do you don't trust me? Like, I can manage the money. How many money? Like 1 million, 1 trillion? You believe yourself you can manage, but you don't believe your friends. You don't believe your neighbor. You don't believe even your parents or your sister. So that's what Sarat said, like, if it's acceptable in the family, it must be acceptable on the society, right? Like we bringing back trust, bringing back, the cohesion of our society. Anyway, but thank you, Grace. I'm also learning, want to learn from many different pilot that Sarat involved or Sarat already went everywhere. In maybe in Kenya as well. He have a small pilot in India, of course, and some other places. Ada lagi yang lain? Anyone else? Oh ya, Mas dari Kita Bisa. Ada microphone close to you. Itu. Thank you. Perkenalan Mas ya, sekalian.
Cik. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi menjelang siang, Bapak Ibu semua. Saya Mujahid dari Salam Setara. Salam Setara itu lembaga amil zakatnya Kita Bisa. Ya, sebenarnya kami datang ke sini tuh sangat tertarik karena ya ngomongin basic income. Tadi Mas Timi, presiden grup kami itu juga sangat menggebu-gebu gitu orasinya tentang apa namanya basic income gitu ya, dan itu yang sering banget ditransfer ke kami gitu ya. Karena itu sebenarnya kita dalam kurun waktu kurang lebih 7 bulan terakhir nih kita sedang melakukan piloting, Mas Yanu. Sebenarnya kami datang ke sini juga dalam rangka nantinya pengen ngundang dan ngajakin Mas Yanu juga kita buat diskusi lah apa namanya tentang basic income gitu ya. Karena kalau kami nih concernnya adalah kan negara ini udah punya banyak sekali perlindungan sosial. Kemudian lembaga-lembaga amal sosial tuh banyak banget gitu. Anggarannya tuh banyak banget. Lembaga juga ngumpulin dana tuh udah banyak banget bertahun-tahun gitu. Tapi kok kemiskinannya tuh kayak seakan-akan stuck gitu ya. Gini-gini aja gitu kan. Orang yang dibantu terus-terusan merasa ingin dibantu gitu ya. Seperti itulah. Nah sehingga kita berpikir, jangan-jangan selama ini tuh kita terjebak dalam patronase program gitu. Seakan-akan kita tuh lembaga tuh serba tahu gitu ya kebutuhan dari para penerima ini gitu ya. Nah makanya sebenarnya ketika Mas Yandu dan kawan-kawan tuh bikin piloting di Jogja lewat Jamestanya, kita juga belajar banget gitu. Dan di luar juga kami belajar secara ini ya YouTube gitu ya, lewat YouTube gitu ya. Itu ke Give Directly. Give Directly itu kalau nggak salah kan mereka ngeklaim kalau the largest foundation yang bikin program cash transfer, dan beberapanya mereka jalankan di Afrika dan sekitarnya gitu ya. Nah kami ada 3 Mas yang sudah kita jalankan. Yang pertama itu kita ngasih pendapatan dasar untuk keluarga, ada sekitar 75 keluarga across the country gitu ya. Jadi kita nggak spesifik di satu wilayah. Mereka submit ke kita secara online, terus kita verifikasi video call, terus kemudian kita disburse lah ke mereka. Dan bantuannya itu per kepala. Jadi kalau dalam satu keluarga itu ada 3 orang, 3 orang itu yang kita kasih. Jadi kalau ada 4 orang yang kita kasih. Nah itu yang pertama. Dengan teori yang kurang lebih sama lah keresahannya. Ini jangan-jangan kalau misalkan mereka dikasih pendapatan dasarnya dipenuhi gitu ya, itu mereka bisa lebih bisa berpikir kreatif gitu. Terus yang kedua one off grant. Nah one off grant itu kita kasih semacam modal kerja. Ya, jadi mereka datang ke kami dengan proposal gitu ya. Ada Ibu Selvia di Bekasi ya, kalau nggak salah ya, di Bekasi gitu ya. Dia seorang anak menanggung 4 orang di rumahnya, orang tua 2 dan adiknya, yang saat ini orang tuanya tuh punya sakit gula darah dan glukoma gitu ya. Jadi setiap hari tuh beliau menanggung 4 orang itu gitu. Nah beliau datang ke kita mengajukan bantuan, Mas, saya pengen buka warung, terus saya pengen beli sepeda listrik yang nanti disewa-sewain ke tetangga-tetangganya gitu ya. Nah yang tadinya mereka punya pendapatan sekitar 25.000 atau 35.000 sehari, sekarang udah hampir 100 sampai 150.000 Mas per hari gitu ya. Dan di sini kami beneran ngelihat bahwa oh ini nih yang sebenarnya mungkin jarang sekali dilakukan gitu. Karena kalau kami bawa program ini ngobrol dengan beberapa lembaga-lembaga lain, terus kita selalu di-challenge gitu. Mas, gimana cara kita mastiin si yang bersangkutan ini menggunakannya tidak misuse gitu kan segala macam gitu. Nah, sebenarnya pertanyaannya adalah yang membawa apa namanya keresahan kami itu datang ke sini tuh ini idea yang sangat radikal gitu ya. Tapi tadi Mas Timi juga sudah menyampaikan ini sangat high cost gitu. Tadi bayangkan aja Mas, kita ngecover sekitar 3 orang dalam satu keluarga, satu kepala itu kita kasih 900.000 bahkan per bulan. Eh, Kenapa angka itu keluar? Karena kami riset angka kecukupan layak hidup tuh kurang lebih satu kepala satu orang tuh 900.000, 800 sampai 900.000 per bulan. Jadi ini aja kita 120-an orang itu hampir berapa ya per bulan tuh bisa 200-an juta Mas, gitu yang kita keluarin. Tapi memang targeted ya, karena kita sumbernya dari dana zakat. Jadi kita memang apa eksperimennya sangat targeted gitu, sasarannya gitu. Jadi tidak benar-benar universal gitu ya, siapapun bisa dapat gitu. Nah, jadi kita ngerasa kayak eh, gimana ya? Ini kan kalau misalkan mau di scale itu tadi butuh sumber daya, resource yang cukup masif gitu kan. Dan kalau ini dikerjakan secara apa namanya parsial atau sendiri-sendiri gitu ya oleh masing-masing apa namanya penggerak gitu ya. Ini kayaknya ide tentang basic income yang kita punya utopi bahwa semua orang ya kita percaya bahwa yang underprivileged itu bukan karena mereka nggak tahu mau ngapain, tapi karena mereka sebenarnya karena nggak punya sumber daya aja gitu. Nah ini kayak ada nggak sih kalau di luar tuh prakteknya seperti apa sih sehingga apakah memang di luar itu negaranya udah ikutan gitu? Kalau yang kami tahu kan kayak negara pernah bikin dan mungkin sampai sekarang tuh ya program kayak BLT, PKH segala macam gitu ya. Oh sama satu lagi. Nah kalau ngomongin juga itu sebenarnya apakah ya udah kita kasih cash transfer saja tanpa ada yang namanya intervensi tambahan gitu ya. eh karena ya balik lagi sebenarnya salah satu challenge-nya teman-teman pemberdaya itu kan ya tadi nih gimana nih dia ngurangin rasa malasnya, gimana cara dia buat menggunakan uang ini untuk apa dan lain sebagainya gitu. Nah ini kan kayak apa bisa jadi perlu ada intervensi-intervensi tambahan entah itu apa capacity building kah atau something like that itu. Tapi kalau as a definisi atau kayak define awal itu kalau basic income tuh sebenarnya seperti apa. Nah itu yang kita juga pengen pengen tahu lebih. Kira-kira gitu Mas Yano.
Mas Mujahid ya. Terima kasih banyak. Ternyata diam-diam sudah memonitor perilaku penerima cash transfer. Tapi saya yakin berharga banget itu. Monitoring yang dilakukan pada penerima itu bisa memecahkan banyak mitos. Sebenarnya kan yang kita hadapi itu bukan apa tembok yang jadi temboknya itu imajinasi kita aja yang terbatas gitu. Kita merasa bahwa target itu tuh sudah the best gitu. Nggak ada alternatif universal itu is impossible gitu. Kadang-kadang kita dibatasi juga oleh siapa yang menyangka makan bergizi gratis dari program. Padahal itu kan political decision. Keputusan politik, ya kalau mau pemerintahnya bisa jadi. Saya mau ini buat giant seawall di seluruh dari seperti di Endless itu dari Anyer Panarukan saya bikin giant seawall, bisa kalau ada political decision, political will untuk melakukan itu. Ternyata kan bukan masalah anggaran. Anggaran ya saya potong lah, kalian nggak usah riset, kalian nggak usah ini, tak ambilin anggarannya, tak bikinin giant seawall, tak bikinin apa gitu. Sebenarnya kan kadang-kadang gitu aja, kadang-kadang kita terlalu overthink, wah ini nanti bakal gini, people bakal gini. Padahal persoalannya bukan di situ. Kalau pemimpinnya, leadersnya mau, governmentnya mau untuk invest ke human capital, why not gitu kan, udah kasih aja makan bergizi, kasih cash transfer, semua resources, daripada sirkulasinya juga cuma di piramida di atas kan. Sebenarnya kan redistribusi apapun bentuknya akan lebih baik daripada inequality yang terjadi sekarang. Thank you Mas Mujahid, nanti akan dielaborasi. Cek lagi, sudah ada? Belum ya? Oke, yang dari online mungkin ya, supaya ada representasi. Barangkali ada yang mau tanyakan, komentar dulu, feedback. Silakan, ada yang raise hand barangkali. Ini ada logo-logo BRIN, ini sangat familiar nih dengan dengan Mbak Ade dan teman-teman. Ada yang mau menyampaikan sesuatu? Mbak Benita atau Mas Muammar? Oh, ada Mas Alu juga ya mendengarkan. Nanti Mas Alu akan bersama kita hari Minggu mungkin ya. Ada Mas Ari Wibowo barangkali mau menyampaikan sesuatu. Atau mungkin karena online sambil mengerjakan yang lain. Silakan raise hand kalau atau open mic langsung aja kalau misalnya ada yang sampaikan. Sambil nunggu, sorry, Syarat, Ruth, do you wanna say something? Okay.
Mana ya Mas? Kan ini universal ya Mas, basic income tuh. Berarti kan untuk yang, oh ya, selamat siang Mas Ba, saya Ruth dari BRIN. Mau bertanya Mas, kan berarti basic income itu diberikan untuk setiap kelas ya Mas ya? Bagi yang kelas yang paling atas, menengah, sama yang di bawah gitu. Tapi kalau saya cek ya Mas ya, untuk yang paling kelas paling atas aja itu jumlahnya itu 178.605 individu. Kalau misalkan saya kali sama 600.000 aja itu udah 100 miliar lebih gitu. Gitu. Apakah iya atau kalau tadi ngobrol sama Mas Yanu sebenarnya itu nggak masalah karena dampak yang diberikan tuh justru sangat besar dan sangat signifikan gitu. Mungkin ya seperti apa gitu. Nah, kalau saya coba-coba cari ya Mas, sebenarnya kalau di negara lain itu eh kalau negara lain yang udah menjalankan ini mereka tuh bilangnya kalau sebenarnya nggak masalah orang kaya itu dikasih basic income karena pajak yang mereka harus bayar itu jauh lebih besar. Tapi apakah pada kenyataannya itu bisa dijalankan? Kayaknya itu juga kendala yang lain gitu. Jadinya akan jadi masalah yang bertumpuk juga kalau misalkan kayak gitu. Itu sih Mas kayaknya. Kalau untuk yang level paling atas kayaknya
Nggak perlu ya. Kalau menurut Barut ya, ngapain sih ngasih
saya ya
top
soalnya
10
sangat apa ya? Dananya pertama
mubazir?
dananya terlalu besar dan kalaupun ada pajak
Hmm.
belum tentu itu bisa dijalankan
Okay.
sesuai
Nice. I think that's a
ideal.
good point. Sarat, I think you monitor with AI translator, right? So you following the discussion. Nice. So ya, itu pertanyaan yang sangat bagus. Kenapa orang yang kaya atau yang di top 10 piramida harus tetap dapat? Gitu. Itu nanti kita elaborasi dalam meeting-meeting kita. Oke, dari teman-teman Bapak Ibu Perbanas, ada yang mau disampaikan dulu? Tar, back, atau ada idea atau apa yang nanti bisa direspon oleh dari Kompas Diana, Mbak Diana. Silakan. Ya. Peserta list.
Selamat siang.
Kenalan dulu ya.
Selamat siang teman-teman semua. Saya Mediana. Kebetulan jadi wartawan Kompas di sini hadir karena memenuhi undangan Mas Yano aja. Dan juga sekali ingin belajar aja, menambah perspektif gitu. Sebenarnya kalau mengenai UBI sendiri aku kurang terlalu paham ya. Tapi sekilas yang aku pahamin itu UBI itu semacam jamsos, bukan jamsos sih, tapi bansos gitu. Nah, yang ingin aku tanyakan dan bisa menjadi bahan diskusi di sini, baru-baru ini kan sudah ada impres soal untuk menghapus kemiskinan ekstrim ya. Kira-kira apakah UBI ini bisa menjadi alternatif cara untuk menghapus itu atau enggak gitu. Karena kalau aku baca di impresnya itu kan sangat apa ya, ya ada jamsosnya, terus ada disuruh padat karya juga, tapi belum belum ada yang menyebutkan soal UBI. Nah, apakah UBI ini cocok untuk negara seperti Indonesia yang gradasi kemiskinannya itu beragam dan secara geografisnya pun juga beragam ya. Terus kalaupun sekarang ini sudah banyak jamsos dari JJP, JHT, JKK dan itu mau dikemanakan jika ada UBI gitu sih.
Ya.
Ini mohon maaf karena agak awam. di sini belajar.
Sangat
Terima kasih.
ya menarik Mbak Diana. Mbak Mediana itu apa ya, tadi explain tentang kita sudah punya jaminan sosial. Di sana ada 5 program CKM, CKK, CHT, CKP. Lalu bansos ada banyak banget gitu ya. Nah, gimana itu kalau misalnya UBI apakah menjadi salah satu alternatif? Ada yang bilang UBI itu bukan jamsos, bukan bansos. Karena UBI itu jadi bukan-bukan gitu. Karena bukan jamsos, bukan. Karena kalau jamsos itu base-nya retribution, iuran. Jaminan sosial kan kita dapat jaminan sosial kalau kita ngiur. Kalau bansos itu mirip-mirip charity. Jadi kalau negara mau ngasih, kasih aja, nggak ada base. Kalau dia mau stop aja, kasih aja. Berapa nilainya suka-suka yang menentukan. Itu bantuan sosial. Nah, UBI itu bukan bansos, bukan jamsos. Karena betul-betul binatang yang berbeda gitu. Dan itulah kemudian kenapa kita sangat senang ada partai politik yang kemudian tertarik untuk mendengarkan lebih jauh. Karena sebenarnya perjuangan untuk universal basic income itu adalah ya perjuangan politik tadi. It's the matter of political decision gitu. Misalnya bansosnya dianggap kebanyakan kartu-kartu yang kemudian ternyata penerimanya tumpang tindih. Ya kalau political will-nya memang kuat, ya itu disatukan aja. Jadi seperti social number di luar negeri kan satu kartu, numbers, record kesehatan, riwayat semua tuh di satu kartu itu aja. Nggak perlu banyak program kartu A, kartu B yang nomornya beda-beda. NPWP sama NIK udah disatukan, udah langkah bagus gitu ya. Kalau bisa semua nanti identity itu satu aja, sehingga gampang trackingnya, kebocorannya bisa dikurangi dan seterusnya. Tapi nanti itu pasti kalau kita ngikutin nanti beberapa presentasi dari narasumber juga pasti akan diaddress. Sebenarnya UBI itu akan ada di mana, replacing existing social protection atau dia another type of social protection. Atau kalau syarat bilang N gitu kan. Either or N. Jadi pilihannya antara yang sudah ada sekarang atau diganti atau ditambah jadi supplementary program atau seperti apa. Itu juga hal yang sebenarnya training kita ini untuk merumuskan itu dengan brilliant mind yang ada di sini itu kita kira-kira kalau Indonesia cocoknya dengan background teman-teman yang dari filantropi, dari kampus, dari NGO, dari jurnalis, itu kita pengen tahu justru gitu. Tapi nanti ada materi-materi yang mengarahkan ke situ. Sudah join? Belum? Oke, it's fine. Sarat, do you wanna couple of discussion we have, some question, probably you grab a couple of ideas or feedback. And yeah, John, you will have it after, right? No, I mean, you can speak in English. Is it fine, right? Yeah.
Is it okay with everyone? English? Yeah? Okay, I think I cannot say I have answers. I can respond to what you are, because I'm also thinking as I'm traveling across the world. So some of the questions are familiar questions. Like you, I think you said that I can expect my family to love me unconditionally. But is it okay to expect the government or the wider society to love me unconditionally, trust me? It's a very big question, right? I think by the end of this program, we should be able to have some clarity on that. I think there are two things I would like us to think about. One is what we call a government. We think that it is something very concrete standing outside me, right? And it has a ministries, and it has a budget, and it has a police, and it has military, and it has all this form that government has. But basically, these are all our creations. The society is something that we have designed, isn't it? Indonesia has one type of society where Islam plays a very important role. You go to Iceland, a country, Norway, where some other religion has played a part in the past. Now secularism is playing a role now. So that is a different design. By design, how they eat, what they wear, everything is different. So when we study sociology, we learn if design A is possible, design B is also possible. Am I right? Are you with me? Somebody has designed this building in a particular way, but is it something very, very 100% unchangeable? No. You design your house in a particular way. I design it in my way, in a different way. So society is also similar thing. It's a design. Let us not make a mistake about it. It is a design. It is a particular way of organizing. So if you have plan A, there can be plan B. So you have put in front of me plan A. I am proposing to you plan B. So to that extent, I would say it in my plan B, in my design, it is the responsibility of the society. You call it government or you call it society. So government is nothing but one part of our society. It governs. It's a structure we have created. Somebody has a parliamentary system. Somebody has a presidential system. Somebody is a dictatorship. Somebody has something else, right? So it is something we have created. In my plan, my design, it is the responsibility of the society to take care of you. You don't want to use love in public space, public square, you can use care. Society should care for you. Like the way family cares for you, society should be a caring society. That is my plan. This is what I want to propose to the government and say that this is the design I want. So that is where it is definitely. So we ask a question, is it practical to expect government to care for me? I don't want practical. I don't want to be practical. I want to live and thrive and prosper. For that, you have to care for me. That is my demand. That is my demand. Like the way you demand from your parents that you have to look after me. You can also go to court these days. Child rights. Go to court and say that my father is not looking after me. So that is the response to your question. That can I expect? I'm saying you should expect. You should expect that your society should care for you and you should demand. A plant has to breathe. If there is no air, what will it do? You need air. You need to breathe. So that is my response to what is the experience elsewhere. Maybe John can also share. I don't think there is any society where a universal basic income is completely implemented, perfectly implemented. Okay. I'm going very slow because we have time till 3 days we have. So we should, instead of rushing through answers, I think we should focus on learning. At the end of this program, we would like you to go back home with some good ideas or some stimulation, some inspiration. That is the purpose. So we can take one by one. Now, I think John, if you would you like to, after I finish, no?